President Goodluck Jonathan, thank you very much for joining me from Davos.
Thank you.
Let me get straight to the heart of the matter. Today, on Capitol Hill, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is testifying about Libya and about militantism in the region. And she identified Boko Haram as the biggest threat to one of the most important countries, namely your own. Do you see Boko Haram as a major existential threat to Nigeria right now?
Definitely, Boko Haram, if it is not contained, it will be a threat not only to Nigeria, but to West Africa, Central Africa, and of course to North Africa. Well, of course, you know, some element of Boko Haram in the same link up with some of the Al-Qaedas operating in northern Mali and other North African countries. Of course, that's why the Nigerian government is totally committed to work with other nationals, other friendly governments, to make sure that we contain the problems in Mali. Because, as you rightly said, the issue of Libya tried to create more problems in the sub-region. Because when Gaddafi was dethroned and a number of fighters looted the weapons, these weapons enter into the hands of non-state actors, and they are being used for criminal activities.
We have seen what has happened. You mentioned Mali, you mentioned Algeria. Is Nigeria prepared in case there is a terrorist attack like we just saw in Algeria on a natural gas or an oil facility? Again, you are the most significant exporter in the region.
Yes, of course. What happened in Algeria is quite unfortunate. And that's why all the governments have been working day and night to make sure that we prevent such excesses.
Do you believe that Boko Haram is just a security threat for you? Or, as some others believe, that it is also about resisting misrule and corruption, and that there needs to be a different or an additional way of dealing with it other than just military?
No. Boko Haram is not as a result of misrule, definitely not. And sometimes people feel that it's a result of poverty, definitely not. Boko Haram is a local terror group, and we call on the rest of the world to work with us. Because now we are talking about Algeria, we are talking about northern Mali. And our belief is that if you allow terror to exist in any part of the world, it will not just affect that country or that state, but it will affect the rest of the globe. And we should not play politics with Boko Haram.
Mr. President, the United States believes that the security forces in Nigeria are driving more people into the arms of Boko Haram. And one NGO at least is quoted as saying that by what they quote as indiscriminate security measures, heavy-handed crackdowns that round up thousands of people, whether they're civilians and children, people who've got nothing to do with Boko Haram. And they're also saying that the police, like in the last year or so, have killed more people than Boko Haram has. So my question is, do you admit that there is a problem in the security dealing with it?
That is not correct. That is not correct. And I've said it severally. Those are insinuations by some interest group. Well, definitely the insinuations by some interest group.
All right, so one of those interest groups is the State Department of the United States. But let me ask you this.
No.
Yes,
people
sir.
get wrong information to the State Department of the United States. The State Department of the United States, they have the means of knowing the truth. They should try and filter the truth.
Well, sir, let me just say...
They should not just listen to some people who have access to them, but they have means of knowing the truth.
All right. Well, the United States Assistant Secretary of State has said that the methods of the crackdown is inflaming the population and inflaming the situation. Let me move on to the issue of corruption. When I interviewed you 3 years ago now, in your first interview as you assumed power, you said that the main issues for the people of Nigeria are corruption and even electricity. Power, you talked about. Well, today, those are still the same issues. Some 60% of the people of Nigeria don't have enough or regular power, regular electricity. There are constantly shortages and outages. 3 years later, what do you have to say about that?
I would have loved that you ask an ordinary Nigerian on the streets of Lagos, Abuja, or any other city this question about power. That is one area that Nigerians are quite pleased with the government, that our commitment to improve power is working. So if you are saying something different, I'm really surprised. That is one area that even civil society members agree that government has kept faith with its promise.
So what should I tell the people who keep contacting us and saying they hope they have electricity just to be able to watch this interview on their televisions? Clearly, it is still a big problem. Is it still a big problem, despite, you say, the progress that you say you've made?
We have not got to where we should be, and of course, you know, the power infrastructure is one investment that you must complete the chain before the bulb can light. You must generate, you must transmit, you must distribute. And even if you have the money and the political will to do so, you cannot do it overnight. And we're working very hard. And I promise you that before the end of this year, power will be really reasonably stable in Nigeria. This is something that has been a problem for years. So you cannot correct it overnight. It takes time, even if you have the money.
I'm sure that'll be a relief. Obviously, you do sit atop massive reserves of natural gas. And that leads me to the whole issue of corruption, which you say you're trying to tackle. And when people look at Nigeria and see all your wealth, they say, oh my goodness, this is a country that is stealing and bleeding itself dry. Even your own minister, your Minister of Finance, has talked about, you know, just this past April, perhaps 400,000 barrels of oil a day simply being stolen, simply disappearing without any account. One of your ministers has said that the level of theft from the country, from the government, amounts to about $7 billion a year. That's still a problem, isn't it?
In fact, when you talk about crude oil stealing, yes, I agree with you. Frankly speaking, we want the international community to support Nigeria, because this stolen crude is being bought by refineries abroad, and they know the crude oil was stolen. The world must condemn what is wrong. The stolen crude is refined abroad. It's not refined in Nigeria.
President Goodluck Jonathan, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.